This is Pet Life Radio. Let's talk pets.
Hello and welcome to Working Like Dogs on Pet Life Radio. Thank you for joining us. We're your hosts. My name is Marcie Davis, and my co-host is my amazing service dog, Fenway. And we're excited to be with you today to talk about our favorite subject, working dogs and working animals. And today we are super excited to welcome two guests, SQuire Rushnell and Louise Duart Rushnell, and they are the executive producers of a wonderful new program that's going to be on Netflix called Rescued by Ruby, and they are also authors of the Godwinks books, including Dog Winks. So we have so many exciting things to talk with them about today. So come right back after these quick messages from our sponsors as we welcome SQuire and Louise to the show.
Take a bite out of your competition. Advertise your business with an ad in Pet Life Radio podcasts and radio shows. There is no other pet-related media that is as large and reaches more pet parents and pet lovers than Pet Life Radio. With over 7 million monthly listeners, Pet Life Radio podcasts are available on all major podcast platforms, and our live radio stream goes out to over 250 million subscribers on iHeartRadio, Odyssey, TuneIn, Stitcher, and other streaming apps. For more information on how you can advertise on the #1 pet podcast and radio network, visit PetLifeRadio.com/advertise today.
Let's Talk Pets on PetLifeRadio.com.
Welcome back to Working Like Dogs on Pet Life Radio. So glad that you could be with us today and that we're visiting with our special guests, SQuire and Louise. Hello, you two, and welcome.
Hey, hi. Did you say Fenway's? The name
Yes.
Well, that's exciting because we live in the Boston area and there's Fenway Park.
And that's what he's named after. You got it.
Really?
Yes.
No.
My big old golden retriever, and he is a cream-colored golden
Oh,
retriever.
great. Isn't that wonderful? We love golden retrievers.
I know. They're the best.
I think they're about the favorite dogs in America.
They are.
Yeah.
It's hard not to love a golden. Yes.
I know.
Yes.
But we have Fenway comes up in our movie, Rescued by Ruby.
Oh,
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah. Well, you guys have been so busy with all the things you've got going on and working on your big Netflix movie.
Yes.
Yeah, we're so excited. You know, when we got the word that Netflix wanted to air one of our, from the book, Dog Winks, one of our stories, we were over the moon because Netflix was wonderful to work with, but then you realize it's worldwide. Yeah. So it's not just in America, it's all over the world.
You know, the streamers have kept how many subscribers they have. They've kept that information very close to their chests. Mm-hmm. And it was always very difficult. And even now, you know, everybody's always trying to find out how many does Disney have? Mm-hmm. How many does Roku have? How many, so on and so forth. And so, but Netflix is so far ahead of everybody else, they decided at some point that they didn't care. They were going to let us know, and they're going to keep it as a running piece of information. So we had a document that we received just after the film was finished and put into the can about 3 months ago. And it mentioned on it that about the promotion, and that you will be able to reach into 211 million subscriber phones, 211 million. But 2 weeks later, we got another letter and it said 214 million.
Yeah.
Last week we got one, 222 million.
Oh my goodness. It's just, that counter is just going up, up, and up.
Oh, yeah. So.
Yeah. Oh, that's so exciting. And how wonderful. I love that Netflix is doing such beautiful programming like Rescued by Ruby. The stories they're telling are just so lovely. Yeah. So tell us about Ruby and how, because you guys wrote the book first. So
we wrote the book. But we should really start with the notion of where did Dog Winks come from, because Dog Winks is the name of the book. I'll let you tell that, honey.
Well, we just had this feeling because we had done Godwink books and there are 12 of them out there. But one day we were just talking and we just got this feeling we should do something about dogs. And so then we said, well, what kind of stories can we do about dogs? And we thought, well, what if we did Godwink stories with the dog in the center of the story? And then we said, okay, well, that sounds good. We'll call it Dog Winks. But then where do we get the stories? The next day, this is a Godwink, Dog Wink in itself. The next day I go on my Facebook page, which is called Godwinkers, and this woman writes, hey, have you guys seen this great Godwink story about a dog in Providence, Rhode Island, who a canine officer, he rescues the dog and they become heroes, and went on and on and on. And here's the link to the Providence Journal story. So SQuire said, oh my gosh, this is like a great Godwink, Dog Wink story. We have to call Officer Dan O'Neill up. And that's how it started. And then one thing led to another. And then NBC Today Show did a little piece on it. And then when our co-producer who lives in LA was at Netflix, he was pitching 5 other movie ideas and all of them were turned down. And then as he's getting up to leave, he says, hey, I've got one other idea. And he tells the Ruby story and they start crying and they say, that's the film we want to do. So that's how it happened.
It was meant to be.
It was.
Absolutely.
Yes. Yes.
Let me give you the Reader's Digest version, the log line of the story. It's a story about a true story. All the Godwink stories are always true. And we love that about the Hallmark movies, that at the end we have the actual pictures of the people and so forth. And with the Dogwink movie at our first Dogwink movie at Netflix, and we hope there will be more. We also at the end have the photos of the original principals. But it's the story of a young trooper who has always had ADHD. In high school, he had to struggle harder than anybody else. In the police academy, he had to work harder than anybody else. And through divine alignment and Godwinks, the budget became empty when he was trying to get into the Canine Corps, and they were going to buy another dog, which they do for $10,000 or $12,000 in the Czech Republic. But the budget got cut, and he ended up going to a rescue shelter, and he gets matched up with an ADD dog. A dog named Ruby. Yes.
Perfect.
Border Collie.
Soulmates. Yes.
Border Collie and Australian Shepherd. So you can understand, Marcie, those are high energy dogs.
Yes.
And they need a job. And so they were returned. She was returned 5 times because of unmanageable. But Officer Dan and she came together. It was a struggle for 6 months, but they rose to the top of the Canine Corps. And fast forward about several years, and Ruby and Dan are called out to a very late at night situation where a boy is lost. Ruby takes off, finds the boy 1.5 miles into the woods at the bottom of a ravine. And there is an amazing Godwink. I won't tell you the Godwink You can read it in the book, but Netflix would prefer that we not tell you the end of the movie.
I know. I was wondering if you were going to tell us. I know, because it is so awesome.
It is absolutely amazing.
It is so awesome.
Oh, I wish we could tell you.
I know. I read it, so I know. But I know our listeners are going to you have to, if you can't wait till it comes out, you got to read it.
It is amazing. I mean, it is. Everybody who sees the movie says, "Oh, wow, I never saw that."
Scene.
That
Exactly.
Godwink coming.
Yeah.
Wow. So anyway, it is a great movie. So.
I love it. And I have to say, I love how you have God wink and then you have dog winks, because I know about God being spelled backwards as dogs, of course. Yes, which is just so perfect that it's dog winks as well, because they are the angels. Yes, they are.
Well, they are. And if you think about it, they have so many of those beautiful attributes that God would give to dogs, right?
Of course.
They're protective. They're so courageous, and
so
they have
loving.
unconditional love.
That's right. Non-judgmental. Don't have a judgmental bone in their body. I know. It's just so beautiful.
When we wrote in the book that God's agents on earth are really dogs anyway.
Absolutely. The best ones anyway. Yes.
Yeah, their names are spelled with the same 3 letters.
Yeah.
And they just reflect each other in so many ways.
You know, it's interesting. In the Dog Wink book, we have 20 stories, and many of them, they're beautiful stories, are rescue dogs.
Yeah. I know. It's amazing. I know. It's always the things that we discount that we're missing out on, those diamonds and those pearls that are in those groups.
Also, I think that rescue dogs have an innate sense that they were saved, you know, and I think they want to give back. There's something about that. They just know, they're just so loving, so giving.
Well, and so how did you guys find out about Ruby, really? How did all that unfold?
Well, it really was through this article. It was really the woman who said, you got to check this out. And so we actually, when we called Dan O'Neill, he said, this is the story. And then we said, well, you know, we want to meet you. We want to meet Ruby. And sure enough, we met Ruby. Ruby is as rambunctious as she ever was. And by the way, Ruby is still working in the field. How old is Ruby now?
Well, she's now 9. I'm sorry, she's now 11.
11.
And we spent time with her when she was 9. And Melissa, Officer Dan's wife, who was a wonderful character in the movie.
Yes.
Oh, such a relationship between the two of them. But anyway, she said Ruby has calmed down quite a bit now. In the meantime, Ruby was all over.
And that was calm for Ruby.
This is calm. Oh.
But you know, Ruby was returned by families 5 times.
Oh, that breaks my heart to think about that for her.
And the thing is that it was on her, you know, when she was sent back one time, there was nipping on there. And so they said, well, you know, we're going to have to put her down. And it was a woman at the shelter who just
advocated for
Ruby. And that's all I'm going to tell you.
I know. That's where it really gets good. Well, I know that's what's so heartbreaking, that, you know, that she was returned that many times, that she had to go through that disappointment all those times.
And the interesting thing is, at the end of the film, when you see the real people, the dog that played Ruby, that dog's name is Bear, and Bear had a very parallel story.
Oh,
Bear.
Really?
Yes, Bear was...
Well, she was wandering the streets of
Oklahoma.
Was it Oklahoma? Yeah. And she was also...
He.
That's true. Yeah. And he was also unmanageable. And the women who came to check on Bear at this collie rescue in Oklahoma were the 2 trainers that worked on our movie. They are just amazing
And
trainers.
we asked them, is there any way you could get a dog from the shelter who plays a shelter dog, a rescue dog? And they said, well, that might be hard to do, but we'll look. And there you go.
And they did it.
They found Bear, but Bear was, for the first time, Bear had a happiness in his life because he had a best buddy. There was a best buddy called Shiloh at this shelter. And so the shelter people said, if you take Bear, you're going to have to take Shiloh too. And they said, okay. And so
I love
Shiloh
that.
is now in the movie as well. Shiloh is the stand-in, or actually the jump-in, because in all of the scenes where Ruby is flying over fences, it's Shiloh.
And you know what they did? They did a makeover on Shiloh to make Shiloh look just like Ruby.
Oh my
they
gosh, that's
painted
adorable.
the fur and everything, and trimmed it and everything.
Yes. The body double. Yes.
The understudy. It was so cute.
One of the interesting things in our book, our Dog Wink book, the 20 stories that we tell, we felt as though we needed to also once in a while have the point of view of the dog. I mean, if the dog is in the story, if the dog is a star of each one of these stories, we got to know what that dog is thinking.
Exactly. We want to hear from them. Yes.
So we use that device all through every story of the dog's point of view.
I love it.
Our director and our producing pal, our co-producer, they decided they would also make sure that in the film that we would see things from Ruby's point of view. But when they researched it, maybe you know this, Marcie, we did not know that dogs don't see in color.
Right.
And so they said it wasn't really black and white, but it is black and white with a little bit of color. And so trying to replicate that, they have put into this movie great scenes and shots from Ruby's point of view. And so it has a realness to it. And I think it's amazing how many scenes that Ruby is in and how much work she's doing in this movie for a dog that has never performed before.
Oh, that is so awesome. Yeah. And I love that from the dog's perspective, because I'm sure as the viewer, you feel like you're in the dog's head and you're actually in their body, getting to see the world. I love to think about the world from their perspective, from their height, with their senses, because it's so much greater than ours. Yeah. That's exciting.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah.
Well, we're going to take just a quick break and hear some important messages from our sponsors who we love. And then we're going to come back and keep visiting with SQuire and Louise, because we've got more questions. We want to hear more about the behind the scenes scoop from you too. So stay with us. We'll be right back.
Molly, here's your dinner. Zeus, that's not your food.
Don't let that happen to your precious cat. Elevate your cat's eating experience with the Cat Tree Tray. The Cat Tree Tray keeps your cat's food off the floor and conveniently located on the cat tree. It's the perfect way to eat. It's a beautiful wrought iron tray that easily attaches to your cat tree and keeps dogs and other critters out of your cat's dish. A must for multi-pet households. There's a 6-inch tray for large bowls and a 4-inch tray for smaller bowls. Purchase your Cat Tree Tray today. Go right now to cattreetray.com. That's cattreetray.com. CATTREETRAY.com.
Let's talk pets
Let's talk pets
on Pet Life Radio.
Pet Life Radio.
PetLifeRadio.com.
Welcome back to Working Like Dogs on Pet Life Radio. We're so excited to be visiting today with SQuire and Louise, and they are giving us all kinds of wonderful behind the scene information about their new upcoming film on Netflix, Rescued by Ruby. And, all of us are just always so curious about the process of making a movie. It sounds so exciting. So tell us a little bit more about what it was like when you were filming Rescued by Ruby. How did it get written? How did it get to where it is right now today, where we can almost see it?
Yes. Well, when you write a book and you write the story, that's one thing as writers, but a screenwriter is a whole nother level because they have to think about camera angles and scenes and everything like that. So we were so fortunate to have a screenwriter. Her name is Karen Jansen. Karen wrote A Dolphin's Tale.
Oh,
and she also wrote A Walk to Remember,
yeah,
which is
I love that one too. Yes.
Yeah. So she had so much heart. And what she did is she lives in Los Angeles, but she came to Providence, Rhode Island, and all of us went and interviewed all the real people that it happened to. So she got the real story. And what she did, which I love, is that she really kept it very, very close to the real story. I mean, all the characters. There's only one character that's invented, and there's a reason for that when people watch the movie, they'll see. But it's a
through line kind of character that plays a very important role as a thread. But it's a real wonderful kind of character. A lot of people say,
is that an angel?
Yeah. An angel.
Oh,
I wonder.
Yeah. So that was that. And then, of course, you have to cast it. And so Netflix sent us several movies of potential leads, and they were going to pick one. We were going to pick one. And our co-producer was going to pick. We're all going to find who was our favorite. Well, we all picked the same person.
Oh, perfect.
And he is great. Grant Gustin. And we really hadn't seen anything he had done, but a lot of other people did, because he was in Glee. He played one of the lead roles in Glee, but he also is the Flash on the CW network.
Oh, yes. I was going to say, I know that name. Yes. Yeah. Okay.
Oh, he is so good. And we also wanted a lead actor who loved dogs. Well, Grant has 3 dogs. As a matter of fact, one of his dogs, he has a tattoo of his dog on his arm. And so he and Ruby, or Bear, had such great chemistry together. It's really beautiful.
Well, that he loves dogs. And by the way, any adult who doesn't know who Grant Gustin is, if they talk to any 10-year-old kid, that kid will say, "Oh yeah, I love him."
Yes.
The Flash. And for that reason, he has 8 million followers on Instagram.
Wow. Yes. Oh, well, I love
that.
I
have to tell you about the music. So, we always thought, our film is not those big budget films like Don't Look Up, which is a Netflix film.
Yes, I've seen that. Yes.
A few more millions more than ours. Ours is a little family film you can watch with your kids or your grandma and grandpa. But we wanted beautiful music. And a lot of times, they will do synthesized music and it sounds good, but we really wanted some beautiful music. And so there's a wonderful woman, I wish I remember her last name, Joy. And Joy worked with the Budapest Symphony.
Oh.
And what she did is she got the Budapest Symphony Orchestra, some of them. I think it's a 90-piece orchestra?
It's a 90-piece orchestra. You can't say that it was the Budapest Orchestra, but you can say that they are all the musicians who participate in the
that sounds
Budapest
good.
Orchestra, and they were performing in a little artsy sounding company.
And the music is great. Gorgeous. It's just gorgeous. Yeah.
Wow. Well, I love how you describe Karen Jansen, the screenwriter, because I'm sure with her romantic magic that she creates, as she did with the films she's already done. I can only imagine how that was pairing those two together with that
Beautiful.
European
great.
music. Yeah, that sounds awesome.
It's beautiful. And we're so thrilled that Netflix loves it. And, again, it's like we're not the top dog. We're maybe the underdog.
Well, I think you may be the top dog.
We might be. You never know.
Well, we're counting on this being the good feeling, the feel-good movie of the year.
Oh, which there's nothing better than that. Yes.
But we really hope that a lot of people will adopt dogs, will go to rescue a dog because, Ruby might have been unruly and all those other things, but there's always a wonderful pairing, an owner and a dog that should come together. So we would love to see a cause and effect. SQuire and I often say, I wish there was a way to find out after the movie airs, is there a cause and effect of how, because when you see the movie, you're going to want to go out and get a shelter dog. You're going to want to. So I hope it has an effect.
Yeah, the impact. Yes, impact. And it's like a ripple effect. I mean, that impact will go on and on and on as more people continue to watch this. Yeah. How long did it take to film the movie when you
Well, it was a 6-week shoot, and that's a reasonably good one because that's actually twice as long as a Hallmark movie.
That's true.
And the budget was like 3 times that of a Hallmark movie, and it's still a small budget movie, but it was sufficient for our needs, and it was sufficient to tell an absolutely beautiful story, just absolutely beautiful.
And where did you film it?
It was in Vancouver and
beautiful.
on Vancouver Island, which replicates, the island does. The island replicates a lot of the architecture and the typography of Rhode Island, Providence, Rhode Island. So Vancouver itself doesn't look that much like Rhode Island, but Vancouver Island definitely does in the Victoria
And we
area.
actually hired real canine officers to work when in some of the scenes you see them working
multiple
the dogs.
So
they're canine dogs and they're officers. So they all got to work, which was great. And they were fun.
Yeah.
It was such a fun shoot. And you know what I love about it is that everyone there loved dogs.
Yeah.
And we just laughed and had the best time. And even the little kid who plays Officer Dan O'Neill and Melissa's child. His name was Teo. And usually they have twins that will play a kid because he's only 22 months old. So they would have twins. And so the woman who played Melissa, the wife, said, I have a godchild that would be perfect, so full of personality. So the director said, okay, let's take a chance. This little Teo is the cutest kid, loved Ruby and loved Officer Dan. I mean, you'd think it was his real mom and dad. It's just adorable.
And we were there, and all the time that we were there on the set, we never heard this child cry except once. And we found out the reason why. His mom said, you have to go home now. Your day is over. He didn't want to leave the set.
When you said that, that's what I was thinking. That'd be the only reason that one would want to cry. I'd want to cry too if I was that one. Yes.
Well, they say you shouldn't work with children and dogs. And
WC Field.
WC Field said that.
Yeah, but in this case, dogs and children were wonderful. And this you'll just want to eat up this little kid. When we first met this little child, 22 months old, he was kind of holding on to his mommy's hand, and he looked up and he said, hi. And I thought, I'm going to vote for this kid now. I mean, he's got a future.
He was always smiling.
But therein is the secret word that we talked about earlier, Fenway, because there is a scene where everybody's looking for Ruby.
Ruby gets lost.
Well, she actually ran away from home.
She ran away from home.
Oh, my goodness.
And so they are, and there's a need for her. I mean, she's got to be on the job.
Yes,
And so there is a neighbor who is kind of walking down the street saying, Ruby, hot dogs, because raw hot dogs is what Ruby loves.
Yes, and that's Fenway's favorite thing too. That is his favorite.
Is that right?
Well, that is Ruby's favorite hot dog. Is Fenway hot dog.
Yeah, but now listen to this other part of the Godwink, because at Fenway Park, the hot dogs they use are, I forgot the name of them, but they're manufactured right in the Boston area, in Chelsea.
Yeah, locally, yes.
It starts with a K.
Km or something.
Yeah, whatever it was. So anyway, so the neighbor is saying, Ruby, hot dog, Fenway.
Yeah.
In his mind, it was the hot dogs that they get at Fenway Park.
Of course.
But this little kid is now nearby in his mommy's arms, and he's mimicking everything. He's like a little mockingbird, And so he said, Ruby, hot dog, Fenway.
Yes. Oh, yes. Those are the magic words.
Oh, and then Ruby was, they have a scene where Ruby is crying, and you hear him say out of the room, "Don't cry, Ruby." It's like, oh my gosh, your heart.
Oh my goodness. Well, this is just so full of heartstrings. Yeah. I mean, this whole from beginning to end.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, it really is.
Well, we've seen the movie probably since it's been in a form of cut together and assembled movie. We've seen it almost 20 times subsequent to all of the dailies and everything else. And we cry every single time at all the appropriate moments.
Well, it has a happy ending. A lot of people. Yes, it
does.
I have a son.
Okay, that's good to know. Okay.
My youngest son and his wife, they have 5 dogs that they've rescued. And so he always goes online at any movie and they find out, does the dog die?
Right.
Because they won't watch it.
Exactly.
They won't watch it.
I know. I have to say, that's what I need to know too.
Yeah.
And I was nervous when I started thinking about Ruby, and I was so thrilled of what I read.
This is not an old Yeller movie.
No.
Hallelujah.
Ruby lives.
Yes. Thrives. Not only lives, but thrives. That's what's so exciting. Well, tell us about, so it's coming out soon. Is it March 17th or what?
March 17th, St. Patrick's Day. Yep, that's Ruby
Get your
Day.
Popcorn.
Oh, yeah.
And your Fenway.
Oh, yes. Fenway and I will be watching for sure.
Yeah. Here's what you can do to find out more and stay in touch with this. If you've got a Netflix account, just go, or if you don't have an account, go to Netflix, go to rescuedbyruby.com. Rescuedbyruby.com. That will take you directly to a site that we control. And on that site, it'll give you information about the movie and the background and the date and on and so forth. And there is a link directly to Netflix and the Rescued by Ruby page on Netflix. And right there, right now, there is a clip that is a beautiful clip of the time that Officer Dan and Ruby meet for the first time. And the Pat Inman, who is the shelter woman who advocated for Ruby, she is there and she tears up because Ruby is going to be saved. Going to be saved. And so you just see that little clip there right at this moment. But you can also click a button, remind me.
It's a bell.
And the bell. And that'll remind you of when the movie's coming along. It'll just remind you what's going on and so forth. So, and I think every time there's a new trailer or something, I think they will, you'll get a copy of that and everything. So we should be having a trailer next week. That's a revelation of that.
Oh, fabulous. Okay, so I need to look for that. All of us need to look for the Remind Me bell. And get that. Yeah. Okay. All right, we'll do it because I can't wait. And I've already written it on my calendar, March 17th. So that Fenway and I can get our popcorn. And he loves popcorn too, but not as much as hot dogs. Yes. Yes. Well, this is so exciting.
If everybody in the audience wants to be an advocate for more movies like Ruby, this is the time that we just blow this out of the water.
Yes.
We tune in on March 17th. We tune in days after that. We watch it over and over again.
Yes.
That's when the people who are making a lot of dark programs in Hollywood will be looking very carefully at this program that is so full of light. This will be your vote.
Yes.
It really counts.
Yes, and that's what we want. We want a lot more of these wonderful, uplifting stories. And, and I heard something recently about follow your genius. even when you don't think that that's the best thing to do. And when I was reading about Ruby, I just got a big smile on my face and I said, she and Officer Dan followed their genius. And that's what you two have done as well. And look at the benefits. Even when there are barriers, if you keep that beacon and follow and be yourself and be authentic, look what happens.
Yes.
So life-changing.
Never give up. You never give up.
No, that's right. No, never give up and love who you are for what you are and who you are. Yeah. Love it, you two. Yes.
Thank you so much, Marcie.
Yeah.
Such a pleasure to be with you. And I can't wait for you to come back because I know you're going to have other Netflix movies and more books to come.
3 more in that book, Dog Winks, that we've got.
Yeah, we said they're great.
I
They're all as good as Ruby.
Oh,
You guys
boy. 3
are
more in that book.
amazing. Well, I can't wait to hear about those and to read those as well. So thank you so much for being with us. We
Thank
love your
you.
work, love what you're doing, and big hugs and big gratitude to you.
Thank you. Thank you.
And thank you, our listeners, for being with us. We love to hear from you. So please keep those emails coming. Fenway and I love to get them. We love your ideas for future shows. And we can stay connected. You can just email me at Marcie, Marcie, at PetLifeRadio.com. Such a pleasure to be with you today. And we look forward to being with you again soon. Everybody take good care.
Let's Talk Pets every week on demand, only on PetLifeRadio.com.